From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes, brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another week as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Minnesota sports team. Wally, we are well into April now, so Major League Baseball is underway. Major League Soccer is, plowing its way through another long season.
They end in what?
NBA playoffs coming up.
When
NHL.
does MLS end, man?
Well, I think they crown a champion in either November or December.
Oh, my goodness.
So they start
In February.
late February and go almost to New Year's.
They're year-round. They don't take any time off.
Because then they go to winter training in January.
All right, so the other league that takes no time off, whether you like it or not, whether they're on the field or not, is, of course, the National Football League. And, they know how to dominate the headlines. I think we've had a little bit of a lull here since the free agency bonanza where teams were grabbing guys and guys were bouncing all over the place. But now, of course, it's all about the draft.
Yeah, we've been basically in rumor mill mode the last couple of weeks,
Yes.
and specifically one team that you keep hearing being mentioned is the Minnesota Vikings about trying to get a quarterback. Are they going to trade up? What are they going to do? You hear things about the Denver Broncos and some of these teams that are obviously trying to get better at the most critical position in the NFL. But yeah, the NFL, the league simply Bigfoots everything in its path. And later this month, you will have the draft. And there will be a lot of huffing and puffing from the prognosticators, from the so-called experts, from the fans, from the teams themselves about, we just got the next great thing, and nobody knows, of course.
Of course they don't.
It's one big gamble, but the NFL has capitalized, and now they're farming it out to different cities. It's in Detroit this year, and I know one thing, Detroit, the entire state of pure Michigan, as they say, they are revved up. I mean, they are making huge plans for this. They expect a lot of people in Detroit.
Do they not know that there's not a game? Are they unfamiliar with that particular
That's the
fact?
part that just baffles me. There's no real event. There's no competition. It's just teams picking guys, and you have no idea how it's going to go.
And guys that may or may not play on your football team, short-term or long-term.
Or guys who might be the next superstar, or they could be a huge bust, or somewhere in between, or some guy who gets taken like a Brock Purdy or Terrell Davis or Tom Brady, and nobody really knows anything about him, and then they blow up in the NFL.
So are you convinced that Sam Darnold will take the first snap of the regular season for the Minnesota Vikings? I mean, obviously, Kirk Cousins is gone. We just don't know what's going to happen with this squad. It looks like, of course, they're going to draft a quarterback, but if the guy they want isn't there, are they going to trade up? Are they just going to stand pat? What are they going to do? I mean, I think that this is the most interesting draft. And you know me, I wouldn't allow you to have an NFL-based show this deep if I didn't think it was interesting. I think that this is fascinating this year to see what the Vikings are going to do.
Wow, they're blowing smoke signals in every direction. they're over there in Eagan.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got them going east and west, north and south. It's a wildfire. They're trying to create confusion so they can get a deal. But the reality is, if they really want the guy they think will be, their future star quarterback, I'll just say the name J.J. McCarthy out of Michigan. I don't know if that's who they want, but somebody like that, or Drake May, or Jaden McDaniel from LSU, they most likely are going to have to move up. What do they have, the 11 and the 23? So those guys will be gone by the time you get to 11. Now, there's another way to look at it. You could wait, and maybe you get a Michael Penix. But I've said it once, I'll say it again. Until they get Pro Bowlers, or at least one on the offensive line, it's a moot point, and they have not addressed that in the offseason yet. I like Christian Darrisaw. He may someday be in the Pro Bowl, but right now I think that O-line still needs to be fortified, and if you're a young quarterback coming in, or even Sam Darnold, you're not standing behind the same pass protection Brock Purdy is in San Francisco, or Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, or Dak Prescott in Dallas. So I think you have to invest in a very critical position, really across the board, from left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle.
Do you think they made a mistake in not getting, I don't know, a Joe Flacco or Trey Lance or somebody? Flacco, I guess, more as a mentor. Maybe start out the first half dozen or so games, and then kind of slowly bring in whoever it is you're going to draft, as opposed to now, Sam Darnold, he's been around, 3 or 4 years now, but he's basically been a bust. I mean, come on, let's face it. He was the Jets quarterback. He was a bust for the Jets. What more do you need to know about Sam Darnold? That he didn't get enough opportunity? He's got some connections to some of the Vikings coaching staff. That's all well and good. But I still think that I think the person they draft, honestly, is the guy that's going to start day one. I don't think it's going to be Sam Darnold.
Well, and you go back a few years ago when Sam Darnold came out of USC and the Jets took him 3rd overall, round 1. At that point in time, they thought they had the next Broadway Joe Willie Namath, right? I mean, just like with Zach Wilson and so many others.
Right.
But it didn't work out, and he's bounced around the NFL. Here's what I would have done if I were Kwesi or KOC. I would have brought in Jimmy Garoppolo, who went to the LA Rams in a backup role behind Matthew Stafford for roughly, bonuses included, $3.5 million. Or I would have grabbed Russell Wilson, let the Broncos pay him $37 million while I can give him $1.5 million. And now both of those guys could come here and not do well, but I would take either of those guys at this point in time over Sam Darnold, specifically Russell, because I think he can still extend plays.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of Sam, we got another Sam waiting on deck. He's been a guy that has been in that Vikings locker room for the last 10 years covering that Vikings beat.
All right, we'll get into that and a whole lot more. We are 10K Takes, your On the Clock ticket.
When you see somebody who's a great skater, you can see in their individual rhythm. My name is Christian Grunna. I am owner, head coach, operator, main instructor for Grunna Power Skating. We had a history of not just speed skating, but auto racing in our family, so always interested in being fast. I want every player that comes my way to develop their skills, but also grow confidence in themselves as a human being.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect. Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Get away to Lakeville, Minnesota, where your family will have tons of outdoor fun. Come for the nature and stay for the thrills. Bring the bikes, swimsuits, fishing poles, and walking shoes as Lakeville boasts trails, lakes, and beaches. Plan your itinerary at visitlakeville.org today.
And we continue along here on 10,000 Takes, and we continue to talk Minnesota Vikings and draft day. And who better to bring in than a guy that has been on that Minnesota Vikings beat for about 10 years now, our friend Sam Ekstrom. Sam, all right, give me an unapologetic view of where you think the Vikings are going to land in the quarterback situation. We can go down a little bit later on who you think that they might draft or what the options are, but where do you think they're going to land here? Is Sam Darnold going to take that first snap this year?
I think he does take the first snap, and I don't know how many more he takes after that, guys. I mean, I think it's pretty transparent that Sam Darnold is a Band-Aid. He is a stopgap, seat warmer, whatever cliche you want to use. This is someone that they're bringing in a one-year deal, $10 million. That's peanuts for a quarterback. He's going to compete with a rookie. We don't know which one yet, but there's going to be a rookie. I think that's almost a certainty at this point, and bring this franchise into a new era. Sam Darnold is the guy that's going to be there as insurance. I would almost think of him as a highly paid backup quarterback because I think that eventually that's the role he's going to play on this team.
All right, Sam, the rumor mill, as you know, is swirling about potential moves the Minnesota Vikings could make or maybe not make as far as moving up to get a quarterback. I've heard one that says they trade the 2 first-round picks this year and another one next year to move up and get, say, Drake May or J.J. McCarthy. I say that's too much, especially when you don't have a stud offensive line that will keep that guy upright week to week. What do you think?
Well, I think that if you look at the Jimmy Johnson trade chart where they assigned value to every pick, that's how a lot of the GMs operate. They look at the numbers of the trade chart in the draft. And if you said, just based on the chart, we're going to trade 11 and 23, and we're going to get like number 4, the chart says that 2 first-round picks is all you need. But there's a tax to pay. There's a premium that you have to pay to go up and get a quarterback. I think there's a lot of emotion involved in getting a quarterback. There's a lot of leveraging that on the part of the other teams. Like Arizona's sitting there in the catbird seat. They can say, you know what? I don't think 2 first-round picks is enough. You need a quarterback, or else you're stuck with Sam Darnold. We're charging you a 3rd first-round pick. And I think that's why you're going to see that price probably at 3 first-round picks. And the Vikings, because they have 2 of them this year, it's pretty easy for a team to say, well, hey, you have an extra one. We'd like both of them this year and give us one in the future. I think that's going to be the asking price because you know what? There's more than one team that's going to be wanting to move up. You've got maybe the Giants. You probably have the Raiders. You probably have the Broncos. You've got teams that are quarterback needy, and they're going to be in that bidding war as well. So the Vikings might have the trump card by having that extra first-round pick in round 1 this year that's going to get them over the top. But it is going to be costly because when you're dealing with the quarterback of the future, you have to pay to get there.
All right, you mentioned Arizona, so I'll bring it up. This is another one of the rumors that's been floating out there. Kyler Murray, does he end up wearing a Vikings uniform, or is that a bunch of hogwash?
Boy, I think that this front office is trying to reset the financial deck, and they've gotten closer to that by but letting Cousins walk. They do owe him that $28.5 million against the salary cap this year. But once that goes away, if you've got a rookie quarterback in here, you are in such good financial position. You can add so much talent around that figurehead. You see what other teams around the league are doing. Like, look at the Texans. They just absorbed the Stephon Diggs contract because they've got a rookie quarterback in C.J. Stroud. Like, it opens up so many possibilities for team building. I don't think they're going to go back to that for Kyler Murray and be hamstrung against the salary cap again. Not for a guy like Murray, who really, let's be honest, hasn't won anything in the league yet.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, Sam. I know that Ryan Poles, the GM in Chicago, said one of the reasons he dealt Justin Fields was there was only one more year left on the rookie deal. Right. They want to reset with Caleb Williams. That makes sense. But you still have to have the pieces in place. And for every C.J. Stroud out there, we can talk about a Zach Wilson or a Trey Lance or others who were picked very high, but to this point haven't panned out. It's a risk, isn't it?
Yeah, there are plenty of flops. I mean, this year, who knows where Bo Nix gets drafted, Michael Penix gets drafted, but there's a chance that we have from 4 to 6 rookie quarterbacks taken in the first round of the draft. Are all of them going to be great? No, siree. Like, there are going to be, a couple duds in there. There are going to be some late bloomers. There might be 1 or 2 that are impactful right away. And the way that people are discussing these quarterbacks, it really feels like a crapshoot because after Caleb Williams, it seems like Jaden Daniels, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, the evaluation is very similar. They're almost interchangeable there in spots 2, 3, and 4. Then there's probably a bit of a drop-off. Michael Penix, Bo Nix. But it is going to be these GMs and coaches can talk all day about how they knew right when they interviewed him that he was the guy. It is a coin flip. It is so hard to know which of these guys are going to take to NFL playbooks, be able to process the game, be able to withstand the grind of it mentally, whether their bodies are going to hold up. There's a lot of luck involved in getting a franchise quarterback. And I think every team, when they look in the mirror, they have to know that's true.
All right, the elephant in the room, number 18, Justin Jefferson. There have been plenty of talk about the Vikings perhaps dealing him. They don't have what it's going to take to win a Super Bowl this year or probably next year. They've got a quarterback coming in that's going to be a rookie. Justin Jefferson may or may not want to play here anymore. We've read those quotes. Your thoughts, should they deal Justin Jefferson? I say yes. What are you thinking?
That I'd like to hear your case on that, Wally. I think that's interesting. And I think there probably is a case to be made, especially like when I mentioned resetting the financial deck. If you want to stay lean, stay cheap, yeah, I get that. But also, you'd like to get cheaper and have a chance at upgrading. Like with Kirk Cousins, they send away or they let go the 12th, the 14th best quarterback in the league. They're trying to find someone who's top 10 with this next draft pick. Whereas with Justin Jefferson, you trade him. Yes, you get assets in return, probably draft assets, but you are downgrading. Like, you are absolutely downgrading at one of the 5 most important positions in the sport of football, maybe one of the top 3 most important positions. I mean, wide receiver is so impactful in today's game. Justin Jefferson has 4 or 5 years left of his prime. That's about exactly what his next contract is going to be. I just think it's bad business if you don't hold on to assets like that. I think it sends the wrong message to guys in your building, sends the wrong message to impending free agents. I think that's someone, and for marketing purposes, think of all the jerseys that have number 18 on them. I think that you bring him back. There's almost always a way to get out of these deals after a couple of years anyway, unless it's fully guaranteed for some reason. I think you bring him back.
Sam, we don't have a lot of time left. I want to get your thoughts. Jim Harbaugh, now the head coach, Los Angeles Chargers, they're a lot like the Vikings. Talented every year, but they underachieve. Now he's got Justin Herbert, who's a Top Gun quarterback, but they got to pay him a lot of money. Do you think there's any chance he'd bring in J.J. McCarthy there and peddle Justin Herbert, and there would be teams drooling to get him, we know that, but the price would be steep?
You know, my read on this is that Harbaugh is running the J.J. McCarthy propaganda machine so that they can position themselves to trade back for a very nice compensation and let someone else get J.J. McCarthy. I think that's what's happening here. I don't think that any team in their right mind would get rid of Justin Herbert. I mean, if you watch him against the Vikings last year, the guy can make all the throws. He's dynamic. I can't put my finger on why that team underachieves year in and year out. Nor can I put my finger on what Harbaugh's doing, getting rid of Keenan Allen for a 4th-round pick. But allegedly, he is this miracle worker. He did it with the 49ers. He won a championship with Michigan. So this is his next great test. He's got some kind of master plan. I don't think he's getting rid of Justin Herbert.
Appreciate you spending some time with us, and we'll talk again post-draft.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, gentlemen.
See you, Sam.
All right, he is Sam Ekstrom, Vikings beat writer since 2014, joining us here on 10,000 Takes. Stay with us.
Let your adventure begin in Lakeville, Minnesota. We have over 90 places to grab a bite to eat, and we're close to the Mall of America, Valley Fair, and the Minnesota Zoo, plus hotel packages and great rates. Visit Lakeville. We're serious about fun all year round.
When you see somebody who's a great skater, you can see in their individual rhythm. My name is Christian Grunna. I am owner, head coach, operator, main instructor for Grunna Power Skating. We had a history of not just speed skating, but auto racing in our family, so we're always interested in being fast. I want every player that comes my way to develop their skills, but also grow confidence in themselves as a human being.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Welcome back, 10,000 Takes, and we're talking Vikings and NFL draft. Of course, the draft just days away now, and it's going to be in Detroit. do you think, and I think Green Bay has it
Yeah.
next year, right? So is it going around the NFC North? Is Minnesota going to get it the year after? I wouldn't be surprised. They love it. They love US Bank Stadium.
Yeah, and I believe Chicago's already had the NFL draft. Well, the NFL again, the folks who market the Shield, I mean, they know how to hold out a crown jewel event and extract money from communities. And they're doing it with Detroit and Green Bay, and Minnesota would love to have it. We know that. And you're almost guaranteed good weather in late April here, right? I don't think we'd have any blizzards. So you have, I think the guesstimate is 400,000 people show up.
That's just crazy.
For these draft parties and,
What's wrong? People, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? You have nothing to do but to go and watch a bunch of people sitting around a bunch of tables? That's just insane to me.
Yeah, they want to see what's going on in the war room.
Oh, my God. There's... boy.
Yeah, it baffles me too, but a lot of people are into this stuff, and Minneapolis could certainly use an economic boost because the Super Bowl's not coming back. There's no Final Fours on the horizon. There's not even any NCAA basketball regional games. So Minneapolis needs to get back into the mix as far as hosting marquee national sporting events.
Well, they got the I think the U.S. gymnastics event is coming here in June. What are they going to do? They don't have any Uber or Lyft. What's going to happen, man? People are going to be lost.
You're going to see a lot of athletes doing cartwheels down Hennepin Avenue as their mode of getting around. Yeah, I mean,
literally.
No, that Uber Lyft thing's not good. And don't think any city competing against Minneapolis
isn't going to mention that.
Exactly.
Of
Hey,
course.
don't go there because your tourists won't be able to get around.
Yeah. All right. On the subject of the NFL draft, if you are drafting now with this new rule for kickoffs, do you purposely draft somebody like a Devin Hester type that can return kicks because the rule is going to open things up more?
I think you absolutely have to. I think, every team is probably right now, going over the new formation and the exact rule changes, which are dramatic in my opinion. And, this is probably where analytics might be a good thing because you can get your computer crunchers, those guys from Harvard or Yale, to come in and say, well, here's where the odds are of longer returns. And then if you get somebody like Devin Hester, you're going to have X amount of possible touchdowns. So special teams, which has always been critical in the NFL, I think now more critical than ever because you're going to see a lot of explosive kick returns. But please, NFL, don't let these records overshadow the real ones.
Well,
Have a separate category because this is nothing like what we saw with Devin Hester or Gale Sayers or Cordero Patterson as recently as last season.
You want a separate Hall of Fame or you should have one for all those steroid users in baseball.
Just put an asterisk by their name and say they played in the steroid era.
They stayed in the steroid era. Okay. I think that the NFL owners, like many fans, got tired of watching kickoffs go through the end zone. So do you take that chance and kick it into that return zone? Because I know that there's like an area where it has to be returned. Or do you just keep kicking it out of the end zone and give it to them at the 30 now instead of the 25? And it used to be the 20. So I don't know that changes my mind, man. I would rather have them have it at the 30 than the chance that they're going to run one back for a touchdown.
Well, and these kickers now, I mean, they all have
explosive legs.
Sonic boom legs, and they can kick it almost into the stands. So I would think that's paramount. Make sure you can get a kicker who can just make it a touchback. And then on the return game side of things, find somebody who can catch the ball. Because Cordero with Atlanta will sometimes get it 7-8 yards deep in the end zone, and he will take it out. He has a green light because he's that good.
Yeah. Okay, we've got more to come. The always popular and you never know what's going to happen takes of the day coming up next.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Finding the ideal place to stay is important for business travelers. Lakeville, Minnesota is conveniently located off I-35, just south of the Twin Cities, with a variety of hotel choices. Lakeville offers convenient amenities such as shopping, walking trails, golf, and more. Our unique meeting spaces, historic downtown, live music, and over 60 dining options are sure to impress. Book your next stay in Lakeville and experience convenience, comfort, and quality. Find your perfect hotel at visitlakeville.org.
10K Takes on television as we wrap up yet another episode. But before we say bye-bye, we're going to find out what kind of mood this guy is in. Demanding diva, cranky Yankee, happy camper. What is it this week?
Well, we're in NFL draft mode, so I figured I would give some advice to the front office of your Minnesota Vikings. Look, it has been, the last couple of years now. Kevin O'Connell as head coach, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah as your GM, and they have been in what they have called a competitive rebuild for your Minnesota Vikings. Well, what has it done for them? What has it done for me lately? We know 2 seasons ago, they made it to the postseason and landed with a thud against the New York Giants in the very first game. They couldn't stop the Giants in that Daniel Jones-led offense. My, oh my. And then last year, they won 7 football games. It's time to break it down. And what does that mean? In short, trade Justin Jefferson. I know Purple Nation not happy with this suggestion, but I think they need to deal JJ and deal him now and get as much as you possibly can because, look, with or without him, you're not going to win this year. With or without him, you're not going to win next year. You need to build up, get some draft picks, figure out who your quarterback is going to be long term. We still don't know that right now. And without that knowledge going forward, you've got nothing. So let's end this 62, 63-year streak in about 2 or 3 years and trade JJ now, and let's just tear it down. Get used to losing this year, baby.
Okay, let's check that mood meter out.
Yes.
Yeah, demanding diva. That's where I thought the needle would land, as you are barking out orders to Kevin O'Connell, KOC, and Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, KAM. We'll see if they listen.
Okay.
All right, well, my take of the day, we've got the NBA playoffs coming up, and boy, it's a grind. You've got to win at least 16 games. If you're a play-in, you got to win even more, but most of the good teams are going to need 16 to hoist the Larry O'Brien trophy. So what we've seen in the last few years are some outlier champions. Milwaukee Bucks won a title, only their second in franchise history. Toronto Raptors won their first ever. And last season, the Denver Nuggets, who have been around forever and a day, finally took the confetti shower. So what I'm saying here is the Minnesota Timberwolves, they've had a fabulous regular season. But now the rubber meets the road. We're taking the training wheels off here, boys. I don't want you to tell me they got to the second round and made progress. No, this team's been playing since 1989, and most of the seasons have been a debacle. It's time for the T-Wolves to go on a deep run, bring home a championship, and end this epic Minnesota sports drought. We know they have the talent. They appear to have the coaching. This is the year because you don't know what next season is going to look like.
For sure.
Rumor has it this guy in San Antonio, the Eiffel Tower, Victor Wembanyama, when he gets some pieces around him, that's the new team that'll be dominating.
Yeah, the Spurs will be back. Yeah, don't count them out.
All right, let's FedEx out our thank yous. One to David Weld, Paul Langfellow, Sam Ekstrom. For Wally, I'm Eric saying so long. We are 10K Takes, your sports ticket.